We're back with the 10th episode of our video series focused on helping CPOs and their teams grapple with the critical issues we're facing in these challenging times. Our goal here is to pose a few ideas, perspectives, and questions that you should be asking as you navigate your way through this pandemic and its human and economic implications. Today, I close out the conversation that I started a few weeks ago about the themes and issues that procurement executives need to be thinking about as we emerge out of lockdown and start to ramp back up to some sort of new normal. If you've been watching, the first 4 topics focused on understanding demand in your sector, then on strengthening supply chains from a procurement perspective, fortifying your procurement operating model, and then rethinking our category strategies. Today's discussion picks up on the 5th and final major theme, and that is around suppliers, and specifically supplier management. As I discussed in our last video, our category strategies need to be rethought, so it follows that we need to reconsider our supplier management strategies as well. And there are 5 sets of questions that we need to carefully consider. First, how do I de-risk my supplier strategy? What does the post-COVID supplier landscape look like? Who's made it and who hasn't? And for those who've made it, what shape are they in? In terms of my specific suppliers, what are my risk points? And where should I be concerned? What should I be thinking about as I look to de-risk my supplier strategy in terms of inventory, scheduling, right the way through to supply options? The next question, and really a related one, is how do I reduce my dependence on specific countries or regions or suppliers? There's plenty of talk about reducing China dependence, and that will play out for some organizations. That doesn't necessarily mean a full-on shift away from China, but it could mean identifying, pre-qualifying alternative sources and destinations, and then an assessment of the relative efficacy, if you will, of each. It then naturally follows that we need to better understand the TCO implications. How has my costing changed? Not just in terms of unit price, but the total cost. This is where a deeper understanding of your supplier's economics is paramount, particularly in this new environment where the demand-supply balance will be off-kilter relative to before, and timelines and requirements have shifted to accommodate social distancing and safety and security, etc. So when your supplier comes to you with a request for a 12% price change, you can better understand and empathize with where they're coming from. The 4th question, and again touched on earlier, is who specifically are my optimal suppliers in this new normal? Are there alternative players and locations that I now need to consider? How can I better understand them and their capabilities? How quickly can I ramp them up? What are my specific opportunities and limitations that I'm going to face with this new supplier set? And finally, and this goes back to a point that I've made many times around risk management, how can I best monitor supplier health as I ramp back up to business as usual? How do I track not just financial health, but operational health and environmental considerations with regards to the supplier's sector and their competition? Having a better handle on supplier performance is critical, even more so as we go forward. In closing, I'd like to add one final point. If you haven't had strong supplier relationships in place before the pandemic, the last few months will have made that even more evident. This reset of sorts is an opportunity to rethink supplier relationships, and that includes supplier development, supplier collaboration, and partnership improvement programs. The point is, you should aim to be your supplier's customer of choice, and that means a two-way effort to get there. As always, if you have questions for us or would like to talk through how to best answer these questions, feel free to drop us a note and we're happy to get into a deeper conversation. All right, that's it for this video. Be sure to check out our special COVID-19 site, which has plenty of data and analysis for you to access. You may be watching this video on the site itself, but if you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube, you can access it via the link above or below. Stay safe.